todo tuyo.
Bueno, hola a todos, muchas gracias por uniros a este Oracle eDay realizado por Quistor en colaboración con Oracle. Mi nombre, como ya han comentado, es María Rodríguez y soy Account Manager en Quistor. Hoy voy a hablaros de la solución propuesta por Quistor para la purga, historificación o archivo de base de datos, configurada por nuestro partner Essentio, quien ha diseñado una herramienta integrada a la perfección con los diferentes módulos de J.D. Edwards y que deja margen también para su utilización en cualquier otra base de datos que trabaje con otros aplicativos. Comenzaremos con una breve descripción de Quistor y de nuestras líneas de negocio. A continuación, hablaremos de la problemática que lleva a necesitar archivar y purgar nuestra base de datos. Y la solución propuesta por Quistor, que es la herramienta llamada Archivist, de nuestro partner Essentio, de la que contaremos sus funcionalidades principales, y a continuación veremos una demo de manos de Nirav Shah, Product Expert de Essentio y J.D. Edwards. Por último, daremos respuesta a las preguntas más frecuentes que despierta la solución Archivist. Quistor nace en Holanda en 2005 de la externalización de la práctica de J.D. Edwards en Deloitte y se va extendiendo por Europa en las diferentes sedes de República Checa, Bélgica, Italia y España, donde por cierto Quistor acaba de inaugurar su nuevo centro de competencia en Málaga, desde donde dará servicios globales de soporte técnico, funcional y monitorización de sistemas Oracle para todo el mundo. Quistor reúne un equipo de más de 120 consultores, tanto técnicos como funcionales, especializados en las diferentes áreas de J.D. Edwards y con un amplio conocimiento en los procesos de negocio. Desde las divisiones de soporte y proyectos, trabajamos en 13 idiomas diferentes, dando servicio en proyectos tanto locales como globales. A medida que Quistor ha ido creciendo, también han ido creciendo nuestras líneas de negocio, partiendo desde J.D. Edwards y pasando por soluciones en la nube y hardware Oracle, servicios de soporte, gestión y monitorización 24 horas los 365 días del año, Business Intelligence con especialización en Oracle y MicroStrategy, desarrollos personalizados, integraciones y movilidad, y por último, soluciones de recursos humanos como Taleo, PeopleSoft y Meta4. Así, Quistor es capaz de ofrecer no solo los mejores productos del mercado, sino darles un soporte que garantice su buena gestión y mantenimiento. Pero ahora vayamos al tema principal. ¿Qué es la purga e historificación o archivo de datos y por qué son necesarios? A medida que pasa el tiempo en nuestro ERP, más y más información se va almacenando en nuestra base de datos, y esto nos lleva a incurrir en mayores tiempos en la realización de backups, actualizaciones y sistemas de contingencia, derivando por tanto en un peor rendimiento, y esto conduciéndonos a un incremento en los costes por la necesidad de invertir más tiempo e infraestructura en el sistema. Sin embargo, pese a que el almacenamiento de información que no necesitamos en producción conduce a una problemática en términos de rendimiento y costes, la normativa española establece que la información ha de conservarse durante cierto periodo de tiempo. Y a raíz de esto es que surge la necesidad de mantener un control sobre nuestra base de datos, de tal forma que podamos conservar aquella información que nos requiere la normativa y eliminar aquella que ya no necesitamos. Archivist de Essentio libera nuestro entorno de producción de aquellos datos con los que no trabajamos habitualmente, pero tenemos que mantener almacenados de acuerdo a la normativa, ya que nos permite moverlos a un entorno separado, al que llamaremos entorno de archivo. También nos permite eliminar la información que bien no necesitamos y no es necesario almacenar, o aquella que ya sobrepasó el plazo de conservación que indica la ley, y por tanto queremos borrar definitivamente, a lo que llamaremos purga de datos. De esta forma, conseguimos mantener la gestión de la información durante todo su ciclo de vida. Archivist de Essentio posee múltiples funcionalidades que nos permiten, por una parte, gestionar la antigüedad a partir de la cual los datos serán archivados, lo que llamaremos Archival Policy o normas de archivo. Y por otra, durante cuánto tiempo debe archivarse la información para cumplir con la normativa, lo que denominaremos Retention Policy o normas de retención. Así, una vez se ha cumplido el periodo de tiempo de conservación de los datos, Archivist enviará un aviso para poder borrar los datos definitivamente. Una de las principales ventajas de Archivist es la posibilidad de ver la información que ha sido archivada desde el propio aplicativo JD Edwards. Por eso, simplemente hay que seleccionar el entorno de archivo al iniciar JD Edwards en lugar del entorno de producción, y podremos visualizar la información normalmente, en un modo de solo lectura, sin capacidad de modificar ningún dato. Gracias a esta funcionalidad, podremos consultar la información desde la propia aplicación de JD Edwards. No será necesario que los usuarios de negocio pierdan tiempo en aprender a manejar otro programa. Si lo que queremos, por otra parte, es modificar información que ya ha sido depositada en el entorno de archivo, Archivist permite fácilmente la recuperación del conjunto de datos que nosotros escojamos y la devuelve al entorno de producción para que el usuario de negocio pueda modificarla desde JD Edwards. Una vez hemos realizado las modificaciones necesarias, mediante el proceso de archivo habitual, seleccionaríamos este conjunto de información que ha sido modificada y Archivist la llevaría de nuevo al entorno de archivo. Esto se consigue fácilmente porque la herramienta clasifica la información a medida que va pasando al entorno de archivo y mantiene un registro de la edad de cada conjunto de datos, facilitando la selección de los datos que queramos trasladar y modificar en el entorno de producción. De la misma forma que podemos gestionar la edad de la información a archivar y borrar, podremos determinar la frecuencia con la que llevar a cabo estas actividades. Así, el archivo Purga podrá ejecutarse de forma diaria, mensual, cuatrimestral o anual, de forma automática, ya que una vez configurado, no volverá a requerirse intervención manual. Simplemente llegará un aviso a los usuarios antes del proceso de archivo, de acuerdo a las rutas de aprobación que comentaremos a continuación, y una vez ejecutado y concluido el proceso, se emitirá un informe con datos sobre cuánta información se ha archivado o purgado y de qué tablas de origen provenían. Archivist incluye un flujo integrado totalmente personalizable para aplicar las rutas de aprobación que cada empresa considere necesarias. Por ejemplo, supongamos que el analista ha determinado unas frecuencias para el archivo de datos. Archivist solicitará la aprobación a este analista y devolverá la aceptación o negativa al desarrollador, quien ejecutará el proceso. También, Archivist almacena automáticamente las trazas de auditoría, desde la solicitud hasta la autorización o negativa y la posterior ejecución. Archivist Decentio posee múltiples capas de seguridad, para asegurar que solo las personas correctas puedan llevar a cabo la purga o archivo de determinados tipos de datos de las siguientes formas. Para empezar, el acceso a Archivist se realiza mediante identificación de usuario y contraseña. También pueden adjudicarse seguridades por rol de usuario de Archivist, que son independientes de los roles de JD Edwards. También está la seguridad de la base de datos, mediante la creación de un usuario en la propia base de datos de JD Edwards. Y por último, la seguridad de instalar la solución en un servidor privado, modalidad on-premise o nube privada. El despliegue y configuración de la herramienta es rápido, ya que desde una única instancia gestionaremos los entornos de test y producción y no requiere instalación de cliente. Además, Archivist es compatible con Windows, incluyendo servidores virtuales, IBM, iX, iSeries, Unix, Linux y cualquier otra plataforma soportada por Java. Igualmente, podrá trabajar con bases de datos Oracle, DB2 o SQL Server. Todas las funcionalidades que nos permite la solución Archivist Decentio han sido diseñadas para adaptarse plenamente a los diferentes módulos de JD Edwards, mediante un conjunto de plantillas que denominaremos Accelerator Packs. Así, se acelera la implementación de la herramienta y obtendremos el nivel de cobertura que necesitemos, manteniendo la dependencia entre módulos y la integridad de la información. Estas plantillas preconfiguradas son fácilmente personalizables, por lo que podremos sacar el máximo partido tanto en tablas estándar de JD Edwards como en tablas personalizadas. E incluso, y esto yo creo que es una de las mayores ventajas y más potentes de la herramienta, es que podremos configurar nuestras propias plantillas para bases de datos que trabajen con cualquier otro tipo de aplicativo distinto a JD Edwards, como puede ser un BI o un CRM. Y bueno, ahora que hemos visto las principales funcionalidades de Archivist, la solución de Sentio para Purga y archivo de datos, es hora de ver en la práctica cómo es la herramienta. Y bueno, para esto nos acompaña Nirav Shah, que es el experto en JD Edwards y en la solución Archivist de Sentio, quien desde sus oficinas de Chicago nos va a hacer una demo y mostrarnos cómo, aún teniendo todas las funcionalidades que hemos explicado anteriormente, Archivist es una herramienta verdaderamente simple de usar y de configurar.
Right.
So, Nirav, are you there?
Yes, Maria. Thank you very much. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes, perfectly well.
Yep. All right. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nirav Shah, and I will be walking us through a demo of Essential Archivist product. So as Maria mentioned, the software requires user ID and password for any users working with the product. So in this case, I will be signing on as an administrator, which will allow us access to different functions within the software. And the first page that everyone sees is the home page, which provides notifications for the user that is logged in. Now, these notifications are also emailed to you, so you receive these automatically. The next function is the administration tab, and under here, this is where we tell Archivist how to connect to your JD Edwards environment. Not only do we tell it how to connect to your JD Edwards environment, but also where should the archive data be placed. And so we'll be performing our demo on one of these environments today. And as Maria mentioned, the software is capable of working with different types of databases as well. The same software can work with MS SQL Server, Oracle, and iSeries databases. For the demo, we will go ahead and skip these tabs, security roles and user ID setup. They work similar to how you would expect them in any other application. We'll go to Manage Policies, and again, as covered by Maria a few minutes ago, we have the possibility of defining archival policies, which allow you to indicate how old different kind of data has to be before it can be moved from production to archive. And you can specify, as an example here, you can see sales orders is specified as being 5 years, which means that your sales orders have to be older than 5 years to be archived. And for work orders, for example, we have specified 14 months. So the policies can be specified in years, months, quarters, or even days, if that's appropriate. The next tab is retention policies, which allow you to control how long you have to keep your data in the archive database. And again, you can see that this is classified by what type of information it is. So in this case, we have defined a policy for distribution, which covers sales orders, purchase orders, etc. And that has a period of 15 years. And these can be configured per your requirements. The next part here is under Process Designer. This is where we provide you with the predefined templates for archiving data from different JD Edwards modules. So as you can see, we have accounts payable, accounts receivable, EDI, fixed assets, general ledger, sales orders, purchase orders, etc. So for today's demo, we will actually be working with the sales order process. And as you can see, so far, everything that I'm working on is within the web browser. There is nothing installed on my machine to work with Archivist. Now, within this process, we can simply view how this process is defined, or we can make modifications to it if we wish. This first section allows us to make some configuration One of the main items I would like to point out here is the calculation of the archival date, which in this case we have selected the sales order policy. So what we are telling archivists is to use the sales order policy to calculate the date for which the data will be archived. The next section is business rules. This contains the logic for determining what data is eligible for archiving. And so what this ensures is not only are the date criteria met, but also ensures that all of the detail lines for a sales order are at a closed status, because the order has to be, in order to maintain the integrity of the sales order, we have to ensure that all of the detail lines are at a closed status. Additionally, it also makes sure that the related invoices or accounts receivable are also at a closed status. And ultimately, only the orders meeting all of the criteria will be selected for archiving. And then finally, the list of tables across which this data is going to be archived is also predefined under the business object. So you can see there are several tables defined here. One question that we get very frequently is, what if we have custom tables? How can we add custom tables to a standard process? And that's very easy. As you can see under this available tables, I can just type in F55. It'll find any tables in the database starting with that name. And all I have to do is simply select the table and make sure that it relates back to my sales order, which, as a lot of you may already be familiar, sales order is defined by our company, our order number, and our order type. And so same connection on this side. And that's it. So in fact, if I want to look at the relationship, I can scroll all the way down here and you can see it has saved this custom table that we just added. Now at this point, we're ready to actually go ahead and execute the process. So we go to execute process, click on new execution. We select the process we want to run. So in this case, we wish to run sales orders. We select the environment in which we want to run. And then under mode, we can run this in proof mode or final mode. And what proof mode will do is it will perform a what-if analysis of how many orders, which orders would be eligible for archiving. So let's take a look. I go ahead and execute this job. And what I have done is I have suspended the job so we can actually take a look at the results. And so if we look in here, we can see that it is actually selecting different orders from different tables based on the business rules that are defined. And you can see it is selecting which orders meet the criteria, which ones do not, including all the way down here. Oops. So these orders have open invoices, and then ultimately these are the orders that have that have the closed statuses against them. Okay, so we'll go ahead and execute this. We'll let it finish. Okay, and so we can see that at this point it has in fact gone ahead and performed the what-if analysis, and you can see that there's quite a bit of data that's eligible for archiving. Now at this point, what we can do is we can actually, if we're satisfied with the what-if analysis, we can go ahead and execute this in final mode, and what that will do is it will actually run it and archive the data. And so while the archival process is running, what I would like to do is also show the fact that it is keeping track of a lot of the auditing. For example, it tells us that what was the archival policy that was used. In this case, it was the sales order policy of 5 years. And based on that, it has calculated the archival date, which in this case is data that has to be older than January 1, 2010. Additionally, there are SQL logs that are also maintained in the background. So this keeps track of what data was modified, what data was inserted, how many rows were inserted, etc. Okay, and so in this case, well, we go ahead and we have executed, we have archived 17 orders. And you can see down here, by the way, here's our custom table that we just added. So let's go ahead and take a look at Manage Archives. Now, under Manage Archives, you see that it has in fact created an entry for sales orders in this environment, which is a test environment. It contains data older than January 1, 2010. And the next section right here is it tells us when this data can be purged or permanently deleted. And currently it says January 1, 2024. This is actually calculated based on the retention policy that is associated with sales orders, which is this one right here. So this is currently defined as 15 years. Now let's assume that we want to change this from 15 years to maybe 10 years, meaning that we want to delete the data, delete sales orders permanently after 10 years. Now if we go to Manage Archives, you can see that the purge after date has been changed to January 1, 2019. Additionally, the other functions we can perform from here include the ability to browse the data. So you can see what sales orders were actually archived. Archivist also provides the ability to perform a selective restore of the data. So currently, these 17 sales orders have been moved to the archive database. If for any reason we wish to move a single sales order back into our production environment, we can simply perform a selective restore by clicking on that order. And what that does is it actually creates a job for us, which we can again execute immediately. And this job will go ahead and perform a selective restore of that single sales order. If I go back in here, you can see that it maintains the integrity of the data, so it picks up the header, the detail, ledger, and then custom table is still included, even on the restore of the data. Now, if we go back to Manage Archives, and we take a look at it, you can see that Archivist auditing keeps track of the fact that the sales order was originally part of this archive. However, it was since restored. So this information is useful in case of needing audit information or any kind of troubleshooting that you may need to do. Finally, you have the ability to restore all of the data. You can also dispose of the archive, which we just discussed. So here is the button. So once we have reached this date of January 1, 2019 in this example, and we wish to permanently delete that set of archive data, we would simply come in here and click on Dispose of Archive, and that will permanently remove that archive for us. Now, for the purposes of the demo, let's assume that we simply want to just restore this data back into production. We want to bring everything back into our production environment. We would simply go in here, click on Restore, and we can execute this job, which, by the way, the job may be executed immediately, or it can be executed at a later time if you wish. And so if you want to schedule the job to be run at a later time, you simply click on the Schedule button and select when you want to run this particular restore or archive, or any job really can be scheduled. So for the purposes of this demo, we'll go ahead and execute it immediately. Okay, and you can see that it knows we're performing a restore of this particular archive, which contains data older than January 1, 2010. And if I go and click on Process Tables, you will notice that it restored the remaining 16 orders. Now, originally we had archived 17 orders, and since then we restored a single order by performing the selective restore, and this full restore then completed restoring the remaining 16 orders and all of the related tables. At this point, if we go to Manage Archives, we'll see that since we have restored that archive, it is no longer considered active. However, if I click on the Restored tab, it keeps track that we did originally create this archive for sales orders. However, since then, it has been restored. Similarly, if we have purged any archives, they would be displayed under the Purged tab. And so this is really the main functionality within the software. Now, it can perform lots of other functions as well. For example, if you have other systems other than J.D. Edwards that you wish to archive data from, our product can achieve that as well. You can simply use our process designer to create your own archiving process for that software or for that other database, and you can archive data from that as well. And the different types of processes you can create are one for archiving, one for copying data, or one for purging data. So as you see, the software is very easy to use. The interface is easy to understand. There is nothing to install on the client machine. There's only a single installation of our software on any supported platform, which in most cases it means you can install it on your existing hardware, whether it's Unix, Linux, Windows, or AS400 or iSeries. Okay, so at this point I will turn things back over to Maria, and if anybody's interested in more details and more information, please contact Maria, and we can set up a demo for you specifically.
Thank you very much, Nirav. That was really good.
Thank you.
I'm going to share my screen now. ¿Podéis ver mi pantalla? Ok.
Sí, sí, perfecto.
Vale. Pues bueno, como habéis podido ver, la herramienta de Sentio, aparte de ser muy completita y tener unos paquetes preconfigurados para J.D. Edwards, es muy sencilla de usar, el despliegue es muy corto y muy rápido, y además la podemos configurar de una forma bastante sencilla para cualquier otra base de datos. Y bueno, ahora por el formato de la ponencia lo que vamos a hacer es plantear las dudas que surgen con más frecuencia con respecto al archivo y purga de datos que realiza Archivist. Entonces, bueno, la primera pregunta que quería plantear, y es una pregunta que hacen un montón de clientes, es cuáles son las principales diferencias entre la solución Archivist y el proceso de archivo normal de J.D. Edwards. Nirav, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay, so one question a lot of customers come across is what are the main differences between Archivist solution and the common J.D. Edwards archiving process?
Yeah, that is actually a common question that we get as well. So while J.D. Edwards provides what they call they actually call them purge processes. The problem with those purge processes is that number one, they do not maintain the integrity of the data. So, for example, if you do any purging of your financial data, such as AR, AP, GL, it will cause integrity problems in your system if you use the standard J.D. Edwards programs to do it. As everybody is quite aware, there is a strong relationship between accounts receivable and general ledger, accounts payable and general ledger, and these relationships have to be maintained. Otherwise, the system will start throwing errors, especially the integrity reports. So that's a big problem. Another problem is that when you run those purge programs, it will actually take the data and move it into different set of tables, which J.D. Edwards calls purge tables. The problem with that is that there are no standard J.D. Edwards programs or reports that look at those tables. So once you run the purge program, your users can no longer look at the purged data from within J.D. Edwards without either you having to write custom reports or performing some kind of or using some kind of third-party tool. With Archivist, the way we set it up is your users are able to view the archive data from within J.D. Edwards itself. So they don't have to learn any third-party tool. All of your reports will continue working. All of your customizations, by the way, if you have customized any of your programs, J.D. Edwards programs or reports, they will continue working in the archive environment as well. The only difference is the archive environment that we set up is read-only, so your users cannot go and modify that. There are actually some other problems with using J.D. Edwards programs as well. For example, J.D. Edwards is not very well suited for working with large amounts of data. So, when we're talking about archiving, we're dealing with a large amount of data, which J.D. Edwards is very ill-suited for. And then finally, when you want to perform your package deployments and perform maintenance on your J.D. Edwards system, you cannot have any other jobs running at the same time. So this creates a conflict with, a lot of times with performing the archiving or purging activities if you're using J.D. Edwards to do it. The advantage of using Essential Archivist is that it works directly with the database and not the J.D. Edwards application. So you can perform maintenance on your J.D. Edwards application and run archiving at the same time without any conflict.
Okay, thanks, Nirav. Otra pregunta que bueno, creo que es bastante importante cuando nos estamos planteando implantar una solución de este estilo, es saber cuál es el momento adecuado para archivar los datos de nuestro sistema J.D. Edwards, o bueno, en realidad de cualquier otro sistema. Nirav, when is the right time to archive data in our J.D. Edwards system or actually in any other system?
Yeah. So it's really multiple things, but one is certainly before there is a urgent need. So as your system administrators, your database administrators are monitoring, they would realize how much of the system resource, how much disk space is being used, and if you're going to have problems. Your users may start noticing that things are running slow. So ideally, you want to perform the archiving activity before things become critical or urgent. Another time is really if you are looking, especially for J.D. Edwards customers, if you are looking to perform a J.D. Edwards upgrade, if you need to minimize the amount of time it takes for the data migration, it is highly recommended that you perform the archiving activity before the upgrade, because let's say, for example, that you have currently in your system you have 10 years of data. You can archive 6-7 years of that data first, and then execute the upgrade, J.D. Edwards upgrade project, which the data migration part will go much faster because there's much less data to convert. And so, you know, from a critical timing perspective, we would certainly start with those 2 points.
Okay. Thanks, Nirav. Bueno, muchas gracias a todos por asistir a esta sesión del Oracle eDay. Y bueno, si queréis más información, y consigo poner la pantalla, podéis contactarme mandando un email a mrodriguez@quistor.com. Un saludo a todos.
Perfecto, pues muchísimas gracias, María. Thank you very much, Nirav.
Thank you.
Así que, bueno, pues esto es todo por hoy. Hemos acabado ya nuestra jornada con nuestros compañeros de Oracle y de Quistor. Así que, en nombre de todos hablo. Muchísimas gracias a todos por haber estado en directo con nosotros. Cualquier duda que tengáis, como han dicho bien los expertos de hoy, pues podéis contactar con ellos directamente y también con nosotros. Así que esperamos, como sabéis también, esta sesión ha sido grabada y recibiréis un link, cada uno de vosotros, de todas las ponencias. Muchísimas gracias y que tengáis todos un buen día. Estaos atentos a todas las agendas de TecnoWebinars y de Quistor, donde estaremos en contacto con ellos muy a menudo y a sus webinars. Un saludo y hasta la próxima.